Hello and welcome back to another episode of Internal Rambles. This is your girl Rochelle. If you are new, welcome, and if you are returning, thank you for tuning back in. This is the bonus content here at Internal Rambles. We're getting back into the reality recaps, the reality show recaps, and I've been on hiatus since about November, mid-November maybe, not sure, but we're back. And we're starting off the new year with Ready to Love. This is season 7. They are back in Miami. And so this is the first episode. And so if you've ever watched Ready to Love, what typically happens is they have kind of a mansion mixer party where all of the singles get together and they meet for the first time, and somebody goes home that very first day. And so I'm just going to give a brief synopsis. I'm not going to go through everyone, but just my first impressions of some of the daters, some of the singles and what happened, and then who went home, and just maybe my overall impression of what is to come this season. So here is the first episode of Ready to Love, my recap and my thoughts of the first episode of this season in Miami. Okay, so when they all get there, nephew Tommy Miles, the host of this show, announces that this season is a little different. He, instead of having 20 singles, 10 men, 10 women, he decided to have 16 so that the women and the men can date with intention. There's not going to be as many people, so you have to really focus on who do you truly have a connection with. So one of the first people we meet is Mr. Andre. He is 39 and they say that he is an entrepreneur. And the only thing that I initially wrote down for him was I felt he was corny. That's not very descriptive, but that's what I thought. Sorry. We also meet Dre. He is a radio host, and when he meets a few of the men and the women, he starts rapping. And I'm like, bruh, you're not Ludacris. So if you know about Ludacris, he started off as a radio DJ, and obviously Ludacris went on to be a very successful rapper, actor, entrepreneur, etc. I was just, that to me is not the first impression, like, yo, I'm a DJ and let me bust out my rhymes for you. It just, they were cool with it, but me, I was like, no. I didn't care for it personally, but whatever I guess he thought could set him apart from the other people, but I wasn't with it. We also meet Marcia. She's a fashion designer. She was very pretty. That was just kind of my first thought. We also meet Blue, who is a business owner. He owns a hookah lounge and he owns a liquor store. And he was he's 40 years old. And what I liked about him is sometimes when you think maybe about someone who owns like a bar or a night, like they're in the nightlife, you may think, okay, they're party, yada, yada, yada. But he was very reserved. He was very laid back. And I liked him very, very initially. He was very respectful. He seemed very cool. He had a very nice maturity about him. He had some really nice, I don't know if they were hazel child, I don't know. But there was just something really mature about him that I liked. Now, I don't know if he gonna let it all hang out this season. But there was something about his first impression that I really, really liked. So that was Mr. Blue. Let me see if I can get he did say his real name. Let me see if I can get that. No, I can't find. He did say his real name. So, because they did ask him, like, what your real name is. But for right now, we're going to call him Blue. And just to kind of contrast with Blue, we have Lyndon, who is a bar manager. And while Blue is very he owns a hookah lounge and a liquor store and has a maturity about him, they wasn't feeling Lyndon. He is a bar manager, but he lives with a roommate, and they kind of felt like, you got a roommate? You don't live on your own? Now, Lyndon is 33 and Blue is a bit older. So, but I think for some of these women who are also older, it's like they want someone who has their own, who has a certain status, a certain, who has achieved a certain level of independence. And Blue's like, nah, I got a roommate. So that was a turn off for some of the women. And also, like I said, men or women who are in the nightlife, but let's just say men, that some of the concern that women can have is, are they a player? Are they, or because they're around a lot of women, and that can be kind of enticing or whatever. And so there were some concerns for the women about Lyndon that other women did not have about Blue. So two men, similar occupations, but concerns with one, others they didn't have concerns with. Okay, so also one that the some of the women did not, one woman did like him, but I don't know how I feel about him, I will say, is Blake. He is 44, and he seems put together, I would say, maybe on the surface. And I don't know what put together may mean. But his name is Blake and he's a corporate security officer. But I think in having conversations with several of the women, there was a certain level of arrogance to him. And he has 3 children, and so initially he was telling the women like, yo, I got 3 kids, I'm done, I done did the daddy thing, not the daddy thing, I can't say that, but like, he's like, I have 3 kids, I'm done having children. But and I'm gonna get to this, when Tommy announces like 1 man, 1 woman is going home, that changed to, you know what, I got 3 kids. I'm about 87% sure that I don't want children, but I'm gonna leave that window, that door's creaked open a little bit. Maybe I'm open a little bit. He was not saying that initially. Initially, he was saying like, nah, I'm done having kids. So I think that was kind of a turnoff where the women was like, yo, you saying what you want to say to stay here? Because initially you was like, nah, I ain't have no kids. I got 3. I'm good. I love my kids. I don't need to have no more. So people were definitely on the fence with just like this air that he put off, this arrogance, but also like, you were inconsistent. So yeah, I don't know if I care too much for Blake either, as well. Okay. One of the women, her name is Natasha. She's very pretty. She's an attorney. Some of the men did not like her, and not like she was. The only thing they didn't like about her is that they felt like they couldn't connect with her, that she was very surface level. So that was kind of the issue that they had with her. And then Z, she's a digital producer. Some of the men just felt like there was no romantic connection with her, so I don't know. At the end, there were 2. Oh wait, let me double back. So during this episode, they had a couple from a previous season, Simone and Rashid, just to kind of talk with the singles and give them advice and, how was your experience? What could you help us with? What is your motivating advice that you could give to us to help us through this experience? Because this is not a normal dating experience. And they did give some helpful tips to the daters. And during this show, Rashid actually proposed to Simone, and it was very dramatic, and she said yes. And okay, now here's a little tea about this, because I be on the social medias. And this is no shade, no tea, no harm, no foul. But supposedly they had already been engaged prior to the show, and they came back and got re-engaged. So I guess I kind of wish that if that is true, I don't know. Supposedly they had got engaged and it was already on their social media, and then they redid it for the show. So I kind of wish they would just came in as an engaged couple and didn't do the whole TV dramatics, if that's true. nonetheless, they are a ready to love couple that is engaged. Like that's really like the motivating factor. They still could have gave advice and without the theatrics, because she was falling all on the floor, and I was like, child, what? But anyways, so anyhow, that's an aside. I was like, girl, really? Why are you kneeling on the floor? It's supposed to be okay. But anyways, at the end, so during this episode, one man is going home and one woman. So the two bottom women before one went home was Z and Natasha. And so for Z, the men felt like they just weren't romantically connecting with her. And for Natasha, that she just wasn't, she was very surface level. They couldn't peel any layers. And ultimately, the woman that went home was Natasha. For the bottom men, it was Blake, the one who was very inconsistent and was like, I don't want kids, but no, okay, maybe I do if you let me stay. And Dre, the rapping radio DJ. And ultimately, Dre went home. So that is it for the first episode of season 7, Ready to Love Miami. So here are my initial thoughts, and I really don't have much to say, I guess. I mentioned in a previous episode that I was surprised that they were going to be in Miami again back to back, because they did do a casting call in Texas. I do believe that that's still happening this year. There's been some rough Ready to Love seasons where people were more ready to lust, ready to date, ready to, I don't know, but they weren't ready to be in a committed relationship. But from the previews, I don't know how I feel. Like, I didn't really see like any like standout couples. I saw like drama. I don't know. I think I need to see more episodes. I hope that this is like people really are there to date. I think they do need to switch some things up and really vet the individuals. I think some of the challenging situations with this show is that you have some of these folks that are like in like the nightlife, and in like some of these people are kind of like promoters and this and that, and it's like, are you here to have like a platform? Are you here to get your career off, or are you really here for a long lasting relationship? So there are some people who have gotten engaged, and I wonder, do they need to change up their casting and their vetting process? But nonetheless, I'll be here for it. And here we are. Now, we'll see how it goes. Now, I mentioned also that there was a show that I thought was starting in January, but I hadn't heard anything. And then a few days ago, it is starting. And that is Love and Marriage DC. That is starting on, let me get the correct date. I have reviewed that show before. Okay, so that is premiering on January 21st, 2023. Now, the irony of this, I don't know if it's ironic, that may be too dramatic. It's going to have some Ready to Love alum, which I don't fully understand, but it is going to have Joy and Clifton that were on Ready to Love DC. So they are going to be, I don't know if you can say replacing, but they are going to be on the show. So they are going to be on Love and Marriage DC. And then I just read right now that Chris and Monique Samuels are not going to be on this season of Love and Marriage DC, which is very interesting because they were kind of like the spearhead or the anchor, or like the most well-known couple, because Monique was from Real Housewives of Potomac. So I don't know, child. So anyway, so Chris and Monique are gone, and in come in Clifton and Joy. And I really loved Clifton and Joy. They are definitely like the success story, or one of the success stories of Ready to Love. So they are engaged. I don't think they're married. So anyways, I was hoping to review or recap Love and Marriage DC starting in January, but then I hadn't heard nothing, and so I was like, well, Ready to Love's coming back. So here's the thing. Right now, still the two shows will be Married at First Sight. That's kind of like the numero uno. That's the show that I started off recapping. And then Ready to Love. And then here and there, I may do like some quick fast and maybe my thoughts on what's happening on I Will Be Watching Love and Marriage DC. I may give my thoughts on the show, but I can't do 3 shows. That's not happening. And in regards to, I will do weekly recaps of Married at First Sight, and then for Ready to Love, if I can do 1 episode per week, I will. If not, I may have to double up, but you will get those recaps pretty regularly too. So to kind of sum this up, my normal content, if you are not aware, Thursdays 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My reality recaps, Married at First Sight, you will get maybe, and then Ready to Love, you'll get as well. I may have to double up those episodes. We'll see how that happens, but I'm going to try to do the 2 shows, and then we'll see how that goes. And then Love and Marriage DC, sporadically I'll sprinkle in my thoughts here and there. So that's that. So I just wanted to mention and just kind of, I'm excited to get back to my reality show recaps. So the 2 shows I'm recapping right now are Married at First Sight and Ready to Love, but I will not be recapping Married at First Sight until they get to the honeymoons. That is standard operating procedure over here. And so listen, check me out. Like I said, I talk about everything Thursdays, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It could be my life, career, relationships. I talk about trending entertainment topics, music, etc. If you want to interact with me and just send me some topics you want me to discuss, I am a therapist by training. If you have any, I'm not going to do it in a professional way, but if you just wanted me to discuss or answer some relationship questions, you can, or if you have any topics you want me to cover, please email me at internalrambles@yahoo.com. Listen to me wherever you get your podcast content. I also release my audio on YouTube. You can interact with me over there, give me some feedback, or if you want to just chop it up and chat with me over on YouTube, you can always like, comment, subscribe over there. Leave me a review on Amazon. That really is helpful and just lets me know how your girl is doing. I have a lot of additional stuff going on. I have a book club. We are currently reading the book of Jose, the memoir of Fat Joe. That we will discuss that on March 16th. And then I also have the male perspective with my close friend Gio. We talk about various topics, but it's just nice to have an additional perspective, an additional voice over here other than mine. A lot of eclectic things that happen over here. So if you're new or returning, listen to a lot of the past stuff that we have over, or that I have over here. I appreciate all of you. Take care of yourselves, and if you are able to, take care of each other. And until the next episode, this is your girl, Rochelle.